Hello, guys. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome back to my world of Insta conversations. How is everyone? I'll let you guys just come in. Guys, I'm sorry. I've taken a back seat, not been doing too many live streams, but today I am back with a special guest. Oops. And like always, sorry, with another conversation. So let's bring our guest on board and take it from there. There we go.
How are you doing?
Hello. Good. How are you?
Not too bad. How about you?
Pretty good. So before we dive in our conversation, just a little of a self introduction for the audience, please.
What would you like to know? My name is Mike. I guess you could say, a survivor of narcissistic abuse. And yeah, pretty much it. I
All
live in,
right.
I'm in Canada, so
Okay.
bear with me. I'm all new to this, so
That's all right. You're good.
yeah.
So let's talk about narcissism. Did you know about this term, or did you come to find out about it because you went through the abuse itself?
I found out because I went through it, and
Oh,
it was her pinpointing things and calling me a narcissist, where I actually started educating myself on it.
okay.
And that's where I came to terms with it. And then finding out, and because I do see a psychologist because of my time in the military, having PTSD, that found out, oh, there's a difference between narcissism and being an empath, and
Mhm.
finding out that I'm an empath.
Yay! Glad to hear that.
Yeah.
So let's talk about your relationship. How long were you in the relationship, and what you went through, and at what point did you discover that you were in a toxic relationship?
Well, I should have known right from the start. The red flags were there right from the beginning. She was a few years younger than me. What, 35 years old, still lived at home with her parents, no job, and mommy and daddy paid for everything she had.
Ooh,
So, yeah.
okay.
So I should have seen the red flags, but then it started to just slowly, the little chips at the stone, I guess you could say,
Hmm.
where they would be like, okay, here we go, and little things like, well, why don't you do this? Why don't you do that? And for me, being an empath, it's like, okay, that's fine. And it
Hmm.
just started developing more and more, and yeah, it just got out of control. It did put me in somewhat financial ruin. So yeah,
Okay. And how long were you in this relationship for?
we were together for about a year. Yeah,
Okay.
on and off for about a year. We were together for about 6 to 7 months straight through, and then all of a sudden, that's when things started really getting out of hand, and I kept on walking away because I just didn't need it.
Hmm.
But I was getting drawn back into it.
What was she doing that you were getting drawn back into it?
Just, oh, I'm sorry for doing this, and just little things like that. And then putting the guilt on me, saying, well, you shouldn't have done this, you shouldn't have done that. And so then I felt bad. And then
Hmm.
now looking back on it, I should never have felt bad for the things I've done. Because, I was brought up to be a gentleman, do the chivalry, but it just never happened.
Yeah, that's what they do, right? They want to keep you in that confusion where you keep on second guessing yourself that, oh, am I wrong? Am I crazy? Am I overreacting? That
Well,
kind of thing.
yeah, and that's the thing, is because of the fact that, for me to open up the car door and things like that, she was getting ticked off after a while. It's like, well,
Ooh, you opened the car door.
oh yeah, I was brought up
Oh, I
proper.
like that.
Yeah, I was brought up proper, so. But
Okay.
it got to a point where, she was getting mad at me for doing things like that. She's like, I can open up my own car door.
Ooh, she didn't like that.
Well, after a while, no. At the beginning, she liked it. But after a while,
Oh,
like when I keep on doing it, well, this is just who I am.
wow.
And so, yeah, like, I tried to treat her well. I tried to take I tried getting her jobs. I have numerous contacts throughout the whole city where I'm at. I'm in Winnipeg,
Okay.
and I tried getting different contacts, getting her different jobs, and she's like, "Well, I only like doing this." It's like, "Well, okay." I ultimately got her a job. She lasted a day.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, and she's like, "Well," and because another issue that she had was alcoholism. So
Mm,
for me, it was always she wanted to go out, drink all night, sleep all day, and that was the
mm,
decision. Is
mm.
because, well, I got things to do in the morning. Well, I can't sleep till
Right,
8 o'clock at night.
right. And for me to think like that, you being in the army and stuff, you think of, oh, this person is going to be macho and all that, but
Well,
but
I've got a
you
soft side.
that's the best part of it, right?
Yeah.
So you don't get that much out there these days. So if, hey guys, there we go, we
Well,
still have such guys around.
yeah, and that's unfortunate because today's day and age, it's far and few. I've taught my son to do just the same manner as what I have and everything, and
Mm,
it's just it's tough, especially in today's society, the way
yeah.
this world is. It's people tend to go, I guess, with the bad boys, and they want to get beaten up, and it's like I'm not
Yeah,
always.
that's how you're conditioned, As a woman, I can speak only for myself, and I think that's the way we were conditioned, uh, being brought up, watching movies,
Yeah,
that the bad boy is the good boy. So be with the bad boy, and he will be your good boy. But it never actually happens like that. The bad boy does stay the bad boy. And it's sad because. Uh, I've spoken to survivors, and it's like there's so many good people out there, but the good people are missing meeting the good people. So the good people keep on meeting the bad people, and it feels like there are no good people for both genders.
yeah.
I speak for both genders, and it's sad because through my platform, I've come across so many amazing people that I'm like, we were living in this bubble where we think nobody's nice or everybody's crappy or men are all crappy or stuff like that, but it's not like that.
Well, and that's the thing too, and because the way social media is, she
Mm-hmm.
she would have because some of my friends they are models and that, and they've done like things, and it's like that's fine, that's their life, not mine. But because I'm friends with them,
Right, right.
she's judging me upon them. Meanwhile, her social
uh,
media, it's like she had at one point she's got 7 followers on her Twitter account, but she's got over
mm.
27,000 posts.
Ooh.
Like, and but she says I spend too much time on the
Mm.
internet.
Mm.
Really not. Like 27,000 posts.
That's a lot. Wow.
I like I know a few people. They have businesses and everything else, and they market the heck out of them, and
Mm.
they don't even have 27,000 posts. Like
Right, right,
so, it's there's always such a double standard, and to
right.
get away from it,
Definitely.
it was
Mm-hmm.
tough to get away from it because I like to this day. I'll be honest. I still care about her, but she's got a lot of issues, and she hides
Right.
behind her Instagram. She took herself off Facebook, but she hides behind Twitter, Instagram, and she just stalks people.
Wow. Mm.
And it's like, and I've told her, like, you've got issues, and she's telling me, well, I need help. And I'm telling her, it's like, I see a psychologist. It's like,
Mm.
talked about it, and even my psychologist said the same thing, like, get away from it, get as far away as you can. And,
Mm.
it's come down to where I have to, because it was my own well being.
Right, right. Most definitely.
Yeah.
So you were with her. I guess this is your very recent relationship where you were with her for a year, but
Yep.
within 7 months, you understood that something was wrong.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and what about your previous relationships? So I heard that you have a son.
Yeah.
Was
Yeah.
that just like a divorce, or was that also a toxic relationship?
No, oh no, me and her were actually best of friends.
Okay.
Yeah, we're excellent friends. She was actually one of the people that were saying, get away from her.
Oh.
Yeah.
Mm,
And like she's with somebody else, and it's fantastic. Like we all get along great, and our son is amazing. So we
well,
considered that aspect. But yeah, this is by far the first time where it's like it's gotten to it, and it got to a point where the police were involved. Um, the funniest thing is because the fact that what was it? She keyed my vehicle. She caused $4,000 damage to my vehicle.
Oh my.
Put a hole in my wall. She was charged. They gave her a court caution, and then
Oh.
she came after that, and she's like, "Well, you owe me for lawyer fees."
No.
Yeah, I'm
My
dead serious.
goodness. Look at the audacity there.
Yeah, but that was the thing. It's
Wow.
but it
Mm.
got to a point where after she had broken up with me, and it was like, okay, that's fine. Next thing you know, she sat outside my place for 5 days. And I've got the proof. I've got the text messages, her saying she sent her mom down. She was outside my place for 5 days. And she just sat there waiting for me. And
Mm.
when I came out, I'm like, well, what are you doing here? And all of a sudden, I'm in a high-speed chase.
Mm.
And I'm doing 130 kilometers in a 50 zone to get away from her.
Oh my God.
And the police here, they're like, well, you have to file for protection order. And it's like, that's fine. But because
Mm.
I'm ex-military, well, I don't fear for my life. So that's the downside.
Gotcha.
So, but then right at that point, I cut ties. And after that, that's when all, like, it really started. She ended up
Mm.
contacting my ex-wife and trying to stir things up because she couldn't hurt me anymore. So then she started
Mm.
hurting people around me.
Mm.
So I pretty much blatantly went right out and told her, like, you want to hurt me? Well, then I'll come after you, and you won't like it.
Mm.
And that's the military side of it.
Okay, that's miss. I like that.
Yeah. So and
Mm.
don't
Mm.
hurt the people around me that I care about.
Mm. Right, right. Most
You know.
definitely. So tell me, I now always ask my male friends when they come on
Mhm.
board, because this is one of the questions that the audience really wants to know, is that do you think being a man, it is more difficult? Because I was doing my research, because in the beginning I had a lot of women come in, and I started doing a research, and the research
Mhm.
said that women suffer more verbal, emotional, or what, narcissism abuse than men. So
Send them my
I
way.
went but then I spoke with a therapist from UK, and and after that a lot of other people also said the same thing, and they were like, you see, the studies which are conducted are correct, and
Yep.
what they're saying is correct, but the thing she said and a lot of other people said was that a lot of men don't come forward
Yep.
and
And
say it,
yep.
because it's about being masculine, it's about the way they have to portray themselves and all that. So that is why we would say that the studies is not really correct, because a lot of men are just not coming forward with their story. So do
Yeah.
you agree or do you
Oh
disagree?
no,
What's your take?
I fully agree on that. Like you even see a lot of the posts when it comes to narcissism, they like state, "Oh, he did this, he did that." Well, the females do the same thing. Like,
mm,
and there's no gender base on a narcissist. That's
right.
the difference. But
and and
society,
it's funny
go ahead.
because uh, my first male friend
Hmm.
was a victim of narcissism, and when he reached out to me, so we connected, like he messaged me and he's like, why do you always bring female survivors?
Yep.
And I was like, well, because there are only female survivors. So I didn't know if it was a male or a
Yep.
female who I was talking to. So,
Yep.
and I was like, because female are a victim. And you're like, really, are you that naive? And I said, yes, because men are, well, went on him, like, men are like this and that. And then he was like, I am a survivor and I'm a man. And I was like, ooh. And then, so we talked like for 2, 3 days, back and forth.
Yeah.
And he told me his whole story. And he was like, you don't know. So go online and read, or I can actually send you men you can follow who are survivors as well. And it was seriously shocking, but I needed to learn that because I didn't know that myself. And I seriously couldn't believe that women do that. I know that
Yeah,
sounds really stupid, but I seriously thought that women don't do that, that women just can't do that. But then, thanks to him, he educated me on that. And it was heartbreaking because there was a guy who had committed suicide because of his mom.
yeah, yeah,
And there were tons of guys who had a narcissist mother, and that ended them up being in a relationship with the woman who was a narcissist. And with kids it gets more complicated, because now you see sometimes uh they're with the mom,
yeah,
and the guy's like, she's a good mom, so uh I'll just suck it up and just wait for the kids to grow up, and then I'll speak about
yeah,
when they're ready and stuff.
yeah.
So I think for men it's more harder like that.
Well, also
uh
it's the family aspect of it. Like when
okay.
with the kids and everything else. If there's kids involved, luckily for me, there was no kids involved.
Hmm.
But yeah, like I know a few guys that I've spoken to, and they've been through the same thing. And being ex-military, well, now you're put to higher standard because now you
Hmm.
have to be this macho guy, and you can't speak about things like this, and but that's the way society's built everything up. It's
Hmm.
unfortunate because the suicide rate amongst veterans is getting higher and higher, and it's because of things like this. And
Hmm.
when people they feed off it, like my ex, she posted about PTSD is no excuse for abuse.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, she posted this on her Facebook. And we
Hmm.
mutual friends, and I got rid of all of our mutual friends. And
Hmm.
and I told him, I says, I don't like making people choose, but this is a choice you're gonna have to make.
Hmm.
And one of the guys that I talked to, he said, I'm never gonna talk to her because I see how crazy she is. And
Hmm.
next thing you know, we go out and I see him out with her. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Hmm.
I said, don't even talk to me. So,
Hmm.
you know, it's just the way it is. And so
So,
I go ahead.
sorry. Uh, do you think that in your case, did you have support where when you went through all that, or do you think you were also being like the same thing you're saying, being tagged like, oh, you are a army ex-military guy, be a macho, all that stuff?
I,
Did you
I
go through that, or you had the support?
I did have support, but I didn't use it.
Okay.
And that's, I guess, it's the pride thing from the military. It's like, suck it up, soldier on. And for me, it was like I didn't use my supports to the fullest extent of what I could have.
Mm,
And yeah, I talked to them, but after a while, they're like, they're tired of hearing about this. And
mm,
there was a constant thing. It was a daily thing with her. Like I would get
mm,
message after message after message, and
mm,
then she would put her little antagonistic remarks on Instagram or on Twitter or whatever,
mm,
just to try and get a reaction on me. And I'd sit there, I'd screenshot it just for police evidence, and say, this is what she's doing. But
mm,
unfortunately, there's no laws that she says that she can't do it.
mm.
So,
Sadly. Mm,
so after a while, I just stopped like even looking at it because it's like it's not even worth my time. Like
mm,
I did it for evidence wise because if I have to get a protection order, then then here's the evidence, sort of thing. But
mm,
just after a while, it's like no, it's not even worth my time. And
right.
last time I heard, she's still not working, which is fantastic. The last one of the last posts
Mm.
I've seen was she says 2020 is going to be my year. Well, COVID comes. Yeah, 2020 is
Nobody's here.
yeah, it's definitely her year. You still have no job and COVID hits, and yeah. So, so it seemed rather ironic. No, yeah,
Mm,
2020 is your
mm,
year and COVID hits.
yeah. Right. So you said that you did have the support, but you really didn't use it.
Yeah,
So how did you deal with the chaos in your head or the healing? What did you do for yourself then?
I at one point I just shut right down because I became suicidal and it got to such a point in my life. It wasn't the only thing, but she was one of the icebergs of it.
Hmm.
And so I just started slowly reevaluating my life,
Hmm.
and then ultimately I ended up buying a bar, and sort of ironic because she liked to drink. And I was like, well, you're going to be the first person not coming to.
Right, right.
But then her insecurities, she was like, well, then yeah, you're just wanting to meet other women, and
Mm,
like, it was constant jealousy, constant attacks, and so I had to walk away from all of it. And I'm so much better now. I've got good people in my life, like, and I don't plan on getting into a relationship anytime soon.
mm.
Just focus on me, and focus on the good things in life.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And how long has it been that this relationship ended?
That would have been last October, so almost a year now.
So almost a year now.
Yeah.
Do you feel or do you think that now you said you're in a good place, but do you think that you've healed and you're more self-aware?
I I look at it this way. I heal every day, not only just because of that, but because of PTSD. And
Mm,
it's always going to be a learning process. And I take things
true.
as they come, day by day, minute by minute. And I just live life. I enjoy the people around me. I love to laugh. I love to joke around. And people around me that now that I meet, they're like, you're so upbeat. And well, life's too short, you
Mm,
know. And I don't sweat the small stuff anymore. I,
mm,
I have to laugh at a lot of stuff I see around me, and it's like, really, like it's not worth it.
mm.
But I know some people out there, they still think, oh, well, he's he's still crazy. I'm like, yeah,
Oh well,
yeah, no, life is too short.
that's true. That's true. So so how do you deal with your PSD?
Um,
PSD.
my PTSD, I know my triggers, and for me, it's just I just take a step back, breathe, and that's about it. So
Mm,
I don't put myself in situation. And that's the one thing I have learned is like not to put myself in situations. I also diagnosed for having what they call an IED. It's like I think it's called indeterminate explosive disorder, where
okay.
from 0 to 1,000 within seconds.
Okay.
So, and with the depression, the anxiety that comes along with it, oh yeah,
Mm,
it was like the trifecta of things.
mm,
So yeah, I've learned to cope with it, and it's been nice because I've gotten rid of a lot of toxic people in my life, the
mm,
negativity, and my circle of friends is like smaller now. I still have a lot of acquaintances, but it's the circle of friends that I talk to on a daily basis.
mm.
That's what the biggest change is. Have
Right.
those people that are going to be there no matter what. And
Mm,
sometimes like I shut down, I don't talk to anybody, but they'll come and they'll reach out, and sometimes I don't respond, and I feel bad after.
mm,
So once I touch base with them, they understand that, and we talk,
mm.
and so it's been very beneficial.
Right.
It's just getting people aware of society the way it is now. Like don't fall into this trap.
Mm,
Like the narcissism, I see it all the time with a lot of people,
mm,
and some people they don't realize that they are narcissists, or whether or not they realize they're empaths, and then you've got the empaths that want to be a narcissist, or the narcissist that plays the empath role,
mm,
and that's the biggest demons I've
mm,
seen are the narcissists that play empaths.
mm,
I do all this stuff for you, and I've come across as this. And
mm.
I'm sure if my ex see this, I'm sure she'll be saying, "Oh yeah, well that's it, empath."
Eh, I like the way you put it because see I'm from Pakistan,
Yep,
and being from Pakistan I am brought up in a society and culture where men are not held accountable for what they do.
yep,
So they can hit you, and
yep,
it's okay because men are like that. They can abuse you, and you need to suck it up because men are like that.
yep,
So men have never been set to be accountable for anything to do. So for me, I can tell you that my whole life, so my 26 years of life, I was brought up thinking and believing
yep,
that women need to suck it up.
Yeah.
Being a woman, I believed that I need to suck it up. Women compromise more, so men can just get away with everything.
Yeah.
That's the way it is. And when somebody will come and say, "Oh, my husband abused me," our reaction, or I'll say my reaction would be, "You must have provoked him,"
Yeah.
because that's the way I was brought up. So
Yeah.
it was always that we are wrong.
Yeah.
And I got married and I moved to US. I was like 29, I think. I don't know, somewhere around there. And I lived there for 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
7 years, it was like detoxing myself because my experience in US has been so beautiful. I love USA. I call it my home. I can't wait to come back. And the people have given me so much love. And I always tell that when I talk about my story is that uh, see, I'm from Pakistan, and when I moved there, there are small things that add up to your day. Is when you are in, how life in US is fast, 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 fast. So you get up in the morning, you're rushing, you're getting the school kids to school, and you're going to work. You're always rushing, and while you're in that rush, your neighbor is walking by, or somebody's walking in your community and say, "Hey, hi, how are you?"
Yeah.
Their smile and they're just reaching out to say that to you goes such a long way.
Yeah. Yeah.
and and then you're having a bad day and you, "Oh, I have to go do my groceries," and then you enter Publix
Yeah.
and everybody there is just smiling and then saying, "Hello, how are you?" And it's like, "Oh, I had a bad day." And they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that." So those little things go such a long way, because we're not like that here in my country.
Yeah.
We don't smile. We don't. We are like, "Why is that person smiling? What's
Yeah.
wrong
Then
with
you
that
think they're
person?"
crazy.
Yeah. So when I moved there, those things and how people reached out to me, uh, I'm sitting on the sidewalk and I'm crying. People would genuinely reach, strangers would genuinely, "Are you okay?" And I like, "I'm just having a bad day. My car broke down," or whatever.
Yeah.
And they're sincere and they're helpful and they're not looking for, "Oh, we can get something from her," like that stuff.
Yeah.
So that's what my experience is. So I love US, and I know a lot of people in my country don't like it. They think I'm a traitor. But that's my experience. I love USA and I call it more my home,
Yeah.
because I lost my daughter and she's buried in that soil. So
I can relate.
so for so for me, that's home, because I got so much of love in those 7 years, and people taught me how wrong I was and how I was living in a society that taught me so many wrong things. So for me, it was such a great learning experience. But when I came back, which is what now, 1.5 year, and I can't adjust. I have not been able to adjust. It's been 1.5 year. And the only thing is that I have accepted the fact that this is the way people are. And if I want them to change, I need to change myself first. If I want them to accept me, I need to accept them first.
Yeah.
And it's taken me a while because I was really angry when I came back and I hated everybody and I was angry with everybody. But now I realize that I had the opportunity for a better life, which taught me a lot of
Yeah.
things. So if I'm going to come back and act all arrogant or better than them, then my learning experience has not taught me anything.
Yeah.
So now I understand that I need to show them how toxic we are, um, for them to see, because they can't see. I couldn't see. So I really have it. So it's really hard, but I've gotten there where the anger is gone and where the acceptance has come, and where I built this page where I'm spreading awareness so that people can understand and women can for sure stop blaming themselves
Yeah.
that they're not bad. Uh, they just don't know what's going on
And
with them.
see, but that's the thing. Like this world needs to humble themselves. Like,
Yeah.
and that's the biggest issue is because you're not humbling anymore.
Mm,
And when you can take a step back and just reach out to somebody, and it's
true.
not hard. I know I've done it. I haven't reached out a lot, but when I have, I've reached out and I've talked to people. And
Mm,
I'm a firm believer of that paying it forward. Always making
mm,
sure somebody's doing something for somebody, whether or not
mm,
just buying a simple coffee for somebody or. And I don't expect any reports from it.
Mm.
Because this world it's gone to hell.
Mm.
And, when you got narcissists going against empaths and using the hell out of them,
Mm.
it's tiring because,
Mm.
especially protecting this country in the army, like, you want to bring
Mm.
good to people.
Right.
And so you open your eyes a lot bigger. And
Mm.
having to deal with a narcissist myself,
Mm.
yeah, like I open my eyes a lot. And,
Mm.
that's the one thing I take positive from being with her is because I'm very well educated when it comes to narcissism and empaths. Um, you know, because I always heard, well, you don't do anything for me. Well, I feed you, I buy all your alcohol, I take you on trips.
Mm.
Freaking, you, like, you don't even do the dishes, sort of thing.
Mm.
That's like, what do you do for me? And
Mm.
I never looked at it that way, where it's like,
Mm.
the relationship should have been 50-50, and it never was.
Mm.
Always, I give, she takes.
Mm.
But then when it came down to where, oh, well, he did this, he didn't come home. Well, I lived in an apartment and she lived with her parents, and, oh, I didn't pick her up because I didn't feel like driving across the city to pick her up. Meanwhile, she had a vehicle. She could have
Mm.
drove any time, but
Mm.
then she put the guilt trip on me and make me feel
Mm.
bad. And to do
Mm.
that to an empath, it's
Oh.
it's very, very toxic.
Mm.
Like the whole
Yeah.
year we'd spent together, she had driven her car to my place once, and that was to stalk me outside my apartment. Other than
Mm.
that, she never once. And then
Mm.
she crossed the line at one point. We were having issues. I took her out to Banff for New Year's. I thought, get away from everybody, all the drama, get away and just relax. And as soon as we got out there, she just wanted to drink and sleep the whole day away. I'm like we're in the mountains. Like, let's enjoy it.
Mm. Mm.
But nope. And then she crossed the line. She called my son names, and it's like, don't do that. Like, that's one thing you do not do is cross the line with my son.
Mm.
And so she ended up trashing the hotel room in Banff, threw the lamp
Mm.
across the room and everything else. And I'm like, so I said, take me off all your social media. I said,
Mm.
you can find your own way home.
Mm.
And
That's so funny. Take me off your social media. That's like such a childish thing to even think or say. Like, grow up, you're adults.
but
Social media is not such a big thing.
and that's the thing, and especially for
Mm.
her to say, because I told her, I says, well, your Facebook, like that's why she don't no longer has Facebook. I says, post all the stuff you post on Instagram and Twitter, post that on your Facebook and see how many friends you have left.
Mm.
I said, because you use that as a scapegoat. I says, all your followers, like I think she's got like a total of maybe 25 followers between the two pages, and it's like,
Wow.
yeah, 25
Mm.
followers, but meanwhile she's
Mm.
following probably, I'd say about 3,000.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, and she's
Mm.
like made over like, let's say, about 30,000 posts between the two.
Wow. Mm.
But I said, all those posts, put them on Facebook. Let your friends see your true colors instead of
Mm.
portraying me as the demon. Show
Mm.
them who you really are. And she's like,
Mm.
well, I don't have to, because
Mm.
that's different. I'm like, no, it's not different. It's social media.
Mm. Mm.
Anything
Right.
that I've posted on my Instagram or on my Facebook has all been the same. And I've
Mm.
told people, it's like, people tell me to put her, like, I guess they have this thing called blast, where you blast the person. I don't know what that is. So,
Okay.
but they're saying, but all the stuff she's done, make it
Mm.
public.
Mm.
And I have yet to make it public,
Mm.
because you're going to reap what you sow, and maybe one day I will make it public. But I just feel like I don't need to, because
Mm.
she's going to cause it herself.
Right. Mm. I mean,
And
you don't need to prove it to people. People who know you already know that your
yeah,
truth. So,
yeah.
yeah,
And
exactly.
and
Mm.
that's the thing. And some of these people, yeah, part of me wants to, just out of spite and that. And it's like, just say, here,
Yeah.
you want to say this? Well, here's the proof.
Mm.
And
Mm.
but it's for her to try to attack my family and my friends that are close to me.
Mm.
That's what was crossing the line.
Mm.
And then if I
That's
did,
way low. Mm.
yeah. But
Mm.
she feels like, oh no, that's the right thing to do. It's like, no, that's
Mm.
not the right thing to do. You break up
Mm.
with me. you go your own way. Leave me alone.
Right. Mm.
Like that's the adult thing.
Mm.
And
Exactly. Mm. Mm.
it's tough. And so,
Right.
I try and help as many people as I can now, like just talking to them. And even when I see
Mm.
somebody and I can see their demeanor has changed, then
Mm.
I'll approach them. I have no
Mm.
problems doing that and be like, what's
Mm.
going on? Like, you okay?
Mm.
Because, if somebody were to do that to me, if a complete stranger came up to me and said, are you okay? For me, my outer experience would be like, yeah, I'm okay, I'm fine.
Mm.
But then if they said, well, here, let's sit down and talk, then I'd probably end up breaking down.
Mm.
And then they'd see, like, I have the tough exterior sort of thing where it's like, I'm not going to say a word to anybody.
Mm.
And I get in trouble from it. Like, my friends, they give me heck for it. So it's like, I'm a big boy, I
Mm.
can handle it.
Right. Right. So you are. I'm going to put it like that because that's how I see you. I don't know what the audience would say. For me, you are a double hero because A, you served in military. B, you're a survivor and still uh, you are there for people. So that makes you a double hero for me in my eyes. So thank you for being that number one. That makes you super awesome.
You're all
And
teary eyed.
I wanted to ask if that's okay, of
Yep.
course. How was your, because I've just spoken to, I think, one person who was in the military before. How is, because he told me really scary stuff, but he was a young guy. How is life in the military, and what kind of life experiences, and what do you learn from it? Like, I'm really curious to know.
Military life compared to civilian life. Well,
Yeah.
there, there's no comparison.
Mm,
There's absolutely none.
mm. Sorry.
But no worries. But yeah, like the brotherhood you have in the military, the people there, they have your back. Guys I'd been through basic training with, I still talk to a lot of them, and you don't get that in civilian life.
Mm,
These guys, one of the guys I went through basic with, he lives out in, I believe it's Netherlands, and he's reached out a few times at my lowest points and that, and he's like, all you got to do is come on out. He's like, come stay with me for a bit, and it's things like that that people don't really get. No matter if you hate the guy or not, but he's still willing to stand behind you.
mm,
And to have
no.
that in civilian life, I see it far and few. Like the loyalty, there is no loyalty anymore,
Mm, true. Mm,
and that's a really sad thing. And I tell
mm,
people, we may fight and everything, but if I tell you I'm there till the death, then I'm there, and that's what the military taught me.
mm,
And like my son's mom, when her and I were going through our custody battle, it was pure hell, and that's because the
mm,
lawyers got involved. But now
mm,
we're best of friends,
mm,
and she knows I'm always going to be there for her. And that, and her boyfriend not
mm.
so much, but
That makes sense, though,
yeah,
right?
he's okay. But friggin', it's
But,
it is what it is. But
mm,
we just look at it. We do what's best for our son, and but other than that, yeah, she's been like one of my best friends, and she's helped me a
mm,
lot through this with this narcissism and this. And she's the first one to say, like, you like you're an empath,
mm.
and it was something come from her,
Right, most definitely. Yeah.
especially because the
Mm,
hell we went through court and that for our son. But
mm,
it was nice, and she'll
mm,
defend me till the day she dies, and I know that.
mm,
But yeah, the military life, there's no comparison to it. It's hard, but it's fun. You learn a lot from it. You self
mm.
discipline, but then you also develop thick skin.
Yeah, most definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that was the
Yeah.
other issue I had because I don't raise my voice. If you want to argue, that's fine. You talk to me like an adult. It's like
Mm.
I got yelled at in the army all the time, so I was used to it.
Oh, oh, okay, okay.
So I'm like, you can call me any name in the book. It's not going to bother me.
It, right, 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 right.
So
Wow.
it's the old saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but names will never hurt.
Bones. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
Right, right. So I see there are a lot of people in here. Guys, if you have any questions for our hero here, you can ask. But while if we don't have any questions, let's wait for that. But what message do you want to give to people who are listening to you, whether they're survivors, whether they're in the army, or whether just general people out there? What kind of message would you want to give to everyone?
I guess the biggest message is just to reach out. Whether or not if you're having issues with a spouse or just daily life or anything, just in general, just reach out. Like there are
Mm,
people out there. For me, like this, you can contact me anytime, and I'm willing to listen.
mm,
It's and it may take a stranger, but I know people can get down on themselves and come to a point where it's suicide.
mm,
And narcissism, it'll push people to that point at some point.
mm,
Because I know for me personally, same thing. I was pushed
mm,
to the point, but luckily it never came to that.
mm.
And I just want people to know, like there are people out there that will listen, that will try and help as best they can. And for the
Right.
things I've been through, I try to help as much as I can. I was self-taught like through the court system, and so now I've become somewhat of a law consultant for people going through divorce.
Wow. Mm,
And this way they don't have to like spend the money on legal fees and just proper paperwork and that. But it's just reach out because you don't know when life is going to end.
right, right,
So
right, right. Well, that was well said. I want to ask one question while you were saying that something popped in my head, and that was, uh, you've served in the military and you've been through psychological abuse. Which
yeah.
one do you think is more harder or more damaging?
Oh, that's an easy one. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, that's an easy one. I'm sure you can even imagine what my answer is going to be. The,
I know.
the narcissistic abuse, the
Yeah,
emotional, the mental
yeah.
abuse. That's by far. I would go through basic training 100 times over before going through that again. And at least that
No.
military, they're building up to be a positive aspect in life. This, it was building
Mm,
you down. Like you're creating a mind
mm,
with narcissistic abuse, with the emotional, the mental, and sometimes physical in some people's aspects. But it
yeah.
will put you into the ground. And
Mm,
I
mm,
don't recommend it towards anybody because it will
mm,
cause a lot of
mm,
damage and
yeah.
it's a lot of scarring. Like, have I gotten over
Mm,
it? Yeah, I've gotten over it, but I still think about it.
mm,
And I don't try to
mm,
place judgment on other people because everybody's their own person. But
mm,
when I talk to females, I think, okay, what are their alternative motives? Like, why are they really talking to me?
mm,
Like, do they want me to like spend all this money on them, or do they want me to do this? Do they want me to do that? So it
mm.
sits in the back of their head.
Yeah. It's
And
always there, right?
yeah, because I
Mm,
tried dating afterwards, like after we broke up, and same thing. The girl,
mm,
she went off and start the threatening, and it's like really like I just came out of this. Told you all
mm,
about it, and she used that against me. And
mm,
yeah, once again the
mm.
police were involved, and like
Wow.
I hate dealing with police, but I can't
Mm,
do anything. I don't hit women. I never will hit a woman.
mm,
But I still have to protect me. But then the police,
right.
and that's the stigma. Is you're a guy, like you should handle this stuff. And I'm trying to do it within the law. When the law's not protecting me,
Mm, mm,
it's frustrating.
right.
that's where they have to start making better laws, not just here in Canada, but everywhere.
Mm.
Like they have to come up with proper laws because women and men are getting away with this, and people are dying now because of it.
Yeah.
Whether or not it be through murder or suicide.
Mm.
So, and
Yeah.
it's truly sad because I think it was what last week I read something about like a girl she was tormented on like on social media, and she was only like 15 years old and she took her life.
So sad.
So,
Mm.
and that's just because I don't know. I guess people want to feel better about themselves, so they want to put down other people, and you know, it's
Mm.
the world has gotten bad,
It
and
is. I totally agree with you on that.
and
Yes.
I feel for a lot of people,
Mm.
and people tell me, well, I shouldn't feel like I shouldn't have any pity for half these people. I still see the
Mm.
good in everybody, and
Mm.
that's always going to be my biggest downfall. Is
Mm.
I will always see the good in somebody, no matter how
Mm.
bad they are,
Mm.
to an extent, of
Right.
course, but.
Mm.
But
That's why I said like you were the double hero here, right?
yeah, yeah,
Perfect. That's the perfect name for you, the double hero here.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Uh, on that note, guys, I've had a wonderful conversation. Like he mentioned himself, I will tag him after the conversation. Reach out, connect with him. He's got great content on his page, of course. He's there to listen, he's there to help, he's
Yeah,
there as a friend. So you are more than welcome to connect with him. Thank you once again so much for
so much
coming
for having.
forward and honoring me by coming live, because I know that this is your first live ever.
Yep.
So thank you so much for that. Take care of yourself.
I
Everybody
will.
take care of yourselves. I am out. Bye bye.
Okay, take care now.